Hello there, my name is Maynard and welcome back to Gorilla Picking. Now, the lock that we are going to deal with today, the lock that you see in front of you in a million different pieces here, is a thing called an American 700 series padlock, 2.5 inches round body padlock obviously, and these locks are kind of a staple, they're almost a cliche really, in the lock picking world because everybody's seen one of these, everybody's picked them, and I did a video on this thing this morning. So what happened was I got this in the mail this morning. I thought, great, okay, that'll make a good picking video. Picked the thing, pulled it apart, and discovered that in actual fact it made a bloody boring video because we've all seen these things picked before. And I thought to myself, okay, alright, well look, I hate doing boring videos. I always want to do a video that leaves you guys knowing a little bit more about whatever the topic is than you knew when we started. So how can I, and just for the record guys, you'll see the picking later on as well, alright? I'll splice that bits and pieces from that other video in there. So what I thought I'd do is talk about the construction of this thing and tell you a little bit about how it's made and how they managed to make it so cheaply. Now, I bought this thing for 23 New Zealand dollars. It was sold as second hand, but in actual fact it turned out to be brand new. So this has got the original factory oil and grease in there, there's no wear on it whatsoever. So I got a brand new padlock for $23 New Zealand. In the States, on Amazon and eBay, these sell for anything between 25 US and about $40 US. So they're reasonably good locks. Let me make no sort of doubt about that, guys. These are actually a pretty good lock. And the question is, how does everybody in the supply chain manage to make money on a good quality lock for, let's say, 40 bucks? So, you know, the retailer has to get their cut, and then there's going to be shipping in there, and then there's a wholesaler obviously who needs to make a profit, and American Lock themselves, who are owned by Master Lock now, they needed to make a profit as well. So there's a stack of profit in this lock, and my guess, in actual fact, if they're retailing for that for 40 bucks including tax, that probably came off the production line for less than 10 bucks. And my guess would be considerably less than 10 bucks actually. They're made in Mexico, so you know, maybe their labour costs are a little cheaper than they would be in the United States itself. But the fact remains that that is a bloody good lock for very little money. So what did they do and how did they do it? Well, they did it by a whole lot of standardisation. Very, very clever thinking went into this lock. So whoever designed this thing, I have an awful lot of respect for. So let's talk about the body first, alright? That is, okay, we'll ping the shackle out and we'll talk about that in a minute. Alright, that body is simply an extruded aluminium bar. So somebody extruded an aluminium bar 2.5 inches round, chopped it off in slices, and then machined some very, very simple holes in here. Now, when you look closely at the lock and the inside, so the way that it's been milled and machined, there is not a square corner anywhere in this thing, okay? It was all made by rotary cutters. It was all made by drills, basically, drills and mill bits. So what somebody has done here is design something that was very quick and very, very simple to mass produce cheaply. So I would guess actually that in the manufacturing process of that body, no human hand touched it. I would think that machines did the whole lot, right from chopping these things to these thickness blanks, and then milling off this bit, drilling that bit, drilling that bit, drilling this bit, whatever. So all done by machine. Now the next thing that they did, which was really, really cunning, they got a whole lot of mileage out of using a whole lot of different shackles. Now this shackle here is whatever length it is, I got no idea and I don't care. And it fits in there like shackles do. Now that is held in place by a screw. So we have got a grub screw, again mass produced part, and you can simply whip that thing out and stick in a shackle that's either longer or shorter than that for various applications at virtually no cost. So what they just did was they just expanded their product range. They started with what was potentially one padlock. They added 3 or 4 different length shackles to it, and now they've got 3 or 4 products that they can sell at different maybe price points and for different applications. Alright, what else did they do? Well, they used a core and a cylinder, so a locking system effectively, that they have used literally tens of millions of times before. So this 6-pin core that you guys know and love, let's just hold that up so that you can see that thing there. This has been on damn near every single American padlock and also master lock padlocks for probably the best part of 50 years, guys. Now this thing here, they probably had the machines that make this part paid off 30 years ago. Alright, every single part that's come off that production line since then has gone into every single American padlock, like this puck lock and like this padlock here, whatever. Those things have come off at virtually zero cost to the company. They have got a little bit of material cost in here. There's a little bit of brass in here, obviously not much, okay. These things are super lightweight, so there's not a lot of material in that. It came off at basically whatever the cost for that part was. Next thing that they've done is used a 6-pin core, but only put 5 pins in it. So again, this core is sold in the slightly higher security padlocks and in the lower, more bread and butter ones like this one. And the only difference between it is in the 6-pin one, the 6th chamber is populated. With this one here, you can see that we have got pinning only for 5 chambers. So again, standardization across the whole range. These guys have made tens, maybe even hundreds of millions, I don't know. They have made millions and millions and millions of these things, and they have got to the point where they can churn them out for next to nothing. Now the same goes for the pinning. So you guys have seen American pins until they come out your ears, and I will just zoom in on them, alright, because they are interesting little pins in their own right. If I just get this thing framed properly, you guys will see there that we have got the pins that we know and love. Tiny little serrated key pins there, tiny little serrated drivers up the top here, and the occasional spool in there as well. Now, what do you think that those things cost to make, guys? I don't know, but I would say fractions of a penny to make. I would say less than 1 cent each for those things. So they are manufactured in unbelievable numbers. And again, that drives the cost right down. Okay, so having ranted a little bit about the way that they keep the cost down on this thing, the other thing that I wanted to show you that I really like about this padlock actually is the locking system. Now, you very often hear people talking about padlocks that can be shimmed and padlocks that cannot be shimmed. So just broadly speaking, in the hole in here, there is a little thing of some kind. In this case it's ball bearings, but in some locks it's something else, that you can sometimes push to one side. If you slide something down the side there, you push this little part to one side, that lets it disengage and you can open the padlock. Now that's called shimming, and with the American lock you cannot do that. Why can you not do that? Well, it is because there is a much more positive locking system, a much better locking system, and it is all to do with 2 ball bearings and a cam. And this is a locking system that's now fairly common in padlocks. It never used to be. So what happens here is that this is the heart of the locking system, this little piece right here. It goes in and sits down there in the insides of the lock, obviously, and there are a ball bearing on each side. There are 2 ball bearings that ride on that little cam. Now what we're going to do, we're not going to mount this up inside the body of the lock because you'd never see it. What we're going to do is just put this on the mat. So here are our 2 ball bearings. You can see that they fit into the cutout in the shackle like that. And then you have got this cam sitting there like so, stopping the ball bearings from moving in. So you don't need to be a genius to see how this works. If I just zoom in on this a little, you will see that in order to pull this shackle up and out, we'd have to pull it past these ball bearings. But because the ball bearings can't go into the cam at the moment, you can't get the shackle past. Right, what happens when you put the key in and turn it is that the shackle is allowed to move because this cam has rotated 90 degrees. So if we do that, that brings us round to the area where those 2 cutouts are, and at this point those 2 ball bearings are allowed to move in, and our shackle can move up and out like that. Fantastically simple system. Really, really, really simple system. And again, the parts to do this are dirt cheap. Look at those ball bearings there. How many ball bearings do you think are made in America in a year? Must be hundreds of millions. So there'll be some supply for these things. And this cam arrangement here, very, very simple to manufacture. What we have got here is a rod, a brass rod, which simply had 2 partial holes drilled down each side of it. Simple as that. So there you go, folks. The guy AVE, Arduino versus Evil, he talks a lot about industrial Lego, and you know what? I agree with him here. What American Lock have done is used really simple, really common parts, so Lego blocks effectively. They have put them together into something cool, and this is the result. Okay folks, well, we're clamped up and ready to go. There is our key, there's the bitting. I never understand these things. I find it very hard to read these keys. Is that a 5 or a 6 pin lock? I've really got no idea. They seem to use the same key for pretty much everything, so let's just poke a pick in there and see what we find. Top of the keyway tension, big fat pry bar, and I'm using the Tron obviously. What do we got? Okay, it's a little bit tricky to get onto these pins with the Tron. I think I'm going to use something different. We are going to use the Peterson number 5 in 18 thousandths. This is pretty much the world's most underrated pick in my view. I absolutely love this pick. Okay, so we've got a little click out of everything there, a little click on every single pin. Not much else going on. So back to the front. Don't know what one's doing there. Maybe that's set 2, nothing, 3 clicks, 4 clicks, 5 feels set. Back to the front. 1 a click, 2 a click. Okay, I think we're overset there, so we're just going to reset this. Might need even less tension, frighteningly. Okay, again, little click on everything. 4 and 5 are now feeling set. I'm going to leave those 2 alone. Little click on 3. Okay, and just dropped into a false set. We're probably just 1 spool away now, I think. Where is it? Well, 1's counter rotating like a bastard. Damn it, and I've lost my false... Oh, there we go. Okay, I nudged 5 and got the open. Right, well, not much of a challenge really. So let's kind of review the lock itself. Let's have a think about the lock itself now. So the one thing that I did do was figure out which Allen keys we were going to need, and again, to my horror and disgust, it's a different Allen key for the two different Allen bolts on the thing. Just stupid really, but that is just the way it is. So let's strip this one out first. There's Loctite in there, as there very often is. Right, that little retaining bolt has now fallen out. If we remove the key, everything else should come out in our hand. Here is, oh wow, okay, the cylinder is really oily. I think this is a brand new lock. I don't think that this has been used, so maybe I got an absolutely brand new lock out of this. Let's just zoom in and you will see the anti-bypass shim up there. Now I am just going to put some witness marks on this so I know which way everything goes back together. We are going to put a little arrow that points to the screw hole, like so. I don't know if you can see that I've just put an arrow there so I know which way to put this back together, and we can maybe dump that if it wants to come out. It doesn't. Alright, let's leave it there. The other thing we're going to do before we go any further is just get a tissue or a rag or something, and okay, we're going to get some of this oil off of here, because this is it's horrible stuff, eh? It's lovely oil, okay, it's really fine light oil that they use in these locks, but I just don't want it all over everything. So F for front, R for rear on the cylinder, so that when we go to reassemble this we know which way is which. And before we embarrass ourselves, let's have a look and make sure it is only 5 pins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah it is. Okay, well that's the pinning, guys. It took me a lot longer to get that apart than usual, and the reason for that was all that oil that was on the lock. I actually think I have got a 100% brand new, never used lock here, because there is not a trace, not a skerrick of wear in here, but what there is a stack of the old of the oil. So I reckon this has never been out of the packet. All right, what do we got? We have got serrated key pins as usual, and serrated drivers as well. It was in fact number 2 that was the spool, so that's the one that needed a bit of counter rotation. I thought it was 1 while I was picking the thing. So that's what we had in the core. It's not very good, let's be absolutely honest, but there is a massive market for these things in the US. So they don't have to be pig proof, you know, they just have to be reasonable, and that really is what these locks are. They're not great, but they're reasonable. So would I have this locking up something at my house? Well, no I wouldn't, and you guys know why I wouldn't do this. Number one, it's easy to pick, and I'll just read you something from their website. Hey, hang on. It says, where does it say it? Here we go. The American Lock 700 blah 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 features a case hardened body, 11mm diameter shackle, a dual ball bearing locking mechanism resists pulling and prying, and yes it does, I completely agree with that, and a 5-pin rekeyable cylinder with serrated pins is virtually impossible to pick. Now, you guys know, eh? I'm not putting anything on my back door that I can pick in 30 seconds, so I wouldn't put this on my back door. And the other reason that I wouldn't put this on my back door is that in New Zealand and Australia, the Lockwood keying systems are almost universal. Now, you cannot retrofit this with a Lockwood keying system. The only thing you can use really is this system here with its little tiny pins and its, you know, different profile, all the rest of it. What I want at my house is a padlock that is keyed the same as my front and back doors, okay? And for me, that would be something like a Lockwood 345 padlock or an Abus 83 series, something like that, which we could put the lock keyway into. So, is it really good in other respects though? Yep, it is. I genuinely think it's a good padlock. I genuinely think it resists cutting and other physical attacks. You would get through the shackle with an angle grinder obviously, but as good padlocks for 25 or 30 US dollars go, this one is up there. It's not a bad lock for the money. So there you are, folks. I hope you have learned something. I would love to know what you think about this lock, so leave some comments below. Now I am going to splice in the picking of this as well, maybe some of the other stuff too. Thanks for watching, guys. My name's Michael Maynard. This is Gorilla Picking, and that is the American Lock A700.